And going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Ford recalling 150,000 Broncos because the suspension could just fall off. Ford quality. I'm sure they'll be good next year, just like the Chicago Bears. Haha, sports pun. They haven't been good in decades, and statistically speaking, probably won't be good again anytime soon. Now, this comes to us thanks to Ronan Glone, who's a writer at The Drive. He says, quote, Ford recalls 150,000 Broncos because parts of the rear suspension can fall off. Again, it's not like this is a vehicle from the 90s. This is a newish vehicle, and they're already falling apart. Just how many recalls has the Bronco alone had? It's racking up more and more. Now, they say, quote, the problem only affects the Badlands trim and the SUVs with the Sasquatch package, and Ford doesn't know how to fix it yet. Whoops. Jeez Louise. At least it looks cool off-roading. You can see that picture there. And I'll give Ford some credit. You know me, I'm a ridiculously weird guy that will only buy vehicles with 3 pedals, also known as manual transmission. And truth be told, if I ever am blessed with a family someday, I'll probably need an SUV. And, well, ideally, I'd love a 2009 Porsche. Was it Porsche Cayman GTS? Or Cayenne GTS, sorry. Came with a V8 and a stick shift. There's barely any of those left. So I'd probably get a Ford Bronco because they do offer a stick shift. The only one for SUV on the market in the United States, which is quite sad in and of itself. So I do appreciate Ford is, they're trying. Now, they say, quote, Ford is recalling nearly 150,000 examples of Broncos because the rear suspension system's remote reservoirs can fall off due to rust. Let that sink in there for a second there. Similar to a Ford vehicle sinking into the gravel or pit of inevitability of it, breaking outside the road and becoming part of nature, can fall off due to rust. I mean, I know a majority of these vehicles are just going to be pavement queens and they're going to be sitting on, Walmart parking lots, or they're fancy, they want to waste money, Target parking lots. But it was engineered to be an off-road fun toy. And yet, what's off-road? Again, I have some friends that do off-roading. I'm by no means an expert. I've seen the pictures on the Facebook when they go. But you know what they usually have when they're off-roading? Oh, yeah, water and mud, which are major components to, yet rust. Yeah. Who would have thought an off-road vehicle might have an issue with rusting? Jeez, Ford. They say the problem only affects Bandit's trim and the SUV equipped with the Sasquatch package, but the Blue Oval hasn't figured out how to fix it. Assigned recall number 25V/25. Interesting name, 25V/25. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The recall applies to 149,944 units of the 2021 to 2024 Bronco built from September 23rd, 2020 to July 23rd, 2024. Ford estimates the problem is present in about 30% of the SUVs. Now here you can see some very rare pictures of a Ford vehicle working. Actually off-road there. Pretty impressive. You don't see that every day with a Ford. And then I say, quote, it's not a minor issue, however. Ford told the NHTSA that, quote, the long flange rear shock absorbers in the affected vehicles may experience corrosion between the external reservoir and mounting flange and the damper body, resulting in the separation of external reservoir. If you're driving, signs that a remote reservoir is about to fall off include a bouncy ride, unusual noise, and a leak near the rear wheels. Or, as the average Ford owner calls their vehicle, an average Monday. If you're just cruising, nothing is going to warn you that the Bronco in front of you is just about to jettison a hydraulic cylinder, which is why the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration got involved. Ugh, it's a little disappointing. They chose an interior picture of the Ford, but they chose an automatic transmission. Disappointing. Now they say, quote, as of this writing, Ford has only received 551 warranty claims related to the problem. Thankfully, silver lining the situation, they're not aware of any accidents or injuries caused by it yet. They say several owners have filed complaints related to the problem. One told the NHTSA that the, quote, external reservoirs fell off around 36,000 miles, which for a car, that's nothing. I mean, I'm so happy I got my Honda Civic Si with the stick shift. Well, it only comes with the stick shift. Another reason I love Honda. But yeah, I was thinking about getting a Ford Focus ST. Great horsepower, great torque. Only comes with a stick shift, a great hot hatch. Even cheaper than the Honda. But I was worried about reliability and I have to get to work, so I chose a Honda Civic Si, which has had, relative to the Ford, a fraction of the number of recalls. Thank God I chose a Honda. Now, again, my Honda's got nearly 86,000 miles, and some of those are track miles too. Still works like a champ. And this is saying, oh yeah, around 36,000 miles, it might just fall off. Jeez. Another noted that the reservoir simply fell off, adding that, quote, this causes the vehicle to bounce uncontrollably. They say it takes much more searching on various forums to find the post related to the issue. Some owners claim that the road salt predictably made it worse, which, yep, don't get me started on my unusual number of soapboxes. One of them is salt on the roads. Terrible idea. Terrible for vehicles. I mean, destroys your car or a truck or SUV, just eats through everything. And as crazy as it sounds, it does make the argument for the undercoating, which as a kid I thought they made up undercoating, the term, as a scam. It is a real thing, and depending on where you live, probably good to get your vehicle. Don't pay the dealership hundreds of dollars. Spend like $7 on a rattle can of that stuff and spray it yourself. But yeah, there's a reason. There is a legitimate argument to get the undercoating for your vehicle. And yeah, one of the reasons is salt. We shouldn't use it. I would argue we should just tough it out. But I know most drivers, if they have more than 12 snowflakes on the ground, will just inevitably spin and crash into each other. I don't know why people can't handle the snow, but nevertheless. Now, they say that, quote, Ford will begin reaching out to owners of the recalled SUVs by mail, interesting, on February, but there's a catch. The company doesn't know how it will fix the problem yet. Whoops. It told the NHTSA that, quote, the remedy is under development. Kind of almost as reminiscent of Indiana Jones. Who's working on the Ark of the Covenant? Top men are working on it. Who? Top men. I'm sure Ford is working on it. And they say that, quote, and that spare parts should be available in the third quarter of 2025. Huh. So basically you have, I don't know. I'll say the glass is half full. Maybe you have 1.5 fiscal quarters where you can't use your car safely. What? Motorists who have already paid for their rusted suspension to be repaired will get a refund via a claim. Which, yeah, come on, Ford. Now, some top comments comes from Question Liam, says, quote, Broncos are less than 5 years old and already have parts that are rusting and falling off. Let's see. I don't know if they misspelled this on purpose. I'm guessing they did, so I'll change my vernacular to reflect that. Built Ford tough. Right there. I don't think they intended that to compete with Jeep. Getting 3 likes, which I'll give Jeep credit as a brand. People buy this stuff even though they know they're rust buckets that will inevitably break within 18 miles. I'm kidding, maybe 23 miles. I mean, the number of recalls and things that break on Jeep, nearly second to none, but people keep buying it. That's the power of their brand. Now, the Bronco, I don't think their fan power is that great. And again, this is a huge gamble by Ford. And fiscally speaking, it's been great in terms of these things are selling. So again, SUVs and trucks, majority of the profit from automobile manufacturers, that's where it comes from. That's why it's so important to get these things right. And to have yet another recall on top of the other recalls they've already had. I mean, shoot, let me just pull up I was about to say the Google, but it's realistic. Well, X Twitter for the AI search engine. Let's see. How many recalls has the Ford Bronco had? Or has? No, it had. Had is right. So they've had a windshield recall, a child safety lock recall, a steering gear recall, rear quarter glass panel recall, a child safety lock again recall, an engine intake valve recall, a 12-volt battery recall, and a suspension recall. Ford Bronco has 8 recalls thus far. 8! And this vehicle, I would argue, is relatively brand new. It's only been on the market for a couple of years. Now, a good rule of thumb is when a vehicle first comes out, you usually don't want to get it the first year. That's usually where there's going to be some things inevitably they find after, mass usage where they got to fix it. Then year 2, year 3, that's where my friends would argue that's the best time. Then year 4, you want, later years, the car manufacturer, you want to get it because at that time they're trying to get every penny they can of profit off it. So they're buying, telling the subcontractors to make the parts and components even cheaper. But yeah, this is basically a brand new vehicle having 8 recalls, which I would argue is even a high number for a Ford. And again, they're already the butt of the joke of most car reputation jokes. I mean, the acronym Found on Road Dead, aka Ford, has been a joke since I was a kid. And Jim Farley, their CEO, which I admire, he's a racer, he's dedicated to the stick shift, the V8, the sports cars, and I would argue the Mustang's getting pretty good over time. Not the E-Mach or that bastardization, of course, but the true Mustang. And yet when he arrived day one, he said the most important thing for Ford was fixing the quality. Was it Q2 or Q3 2024? They spent $823 or $830 million on warranty work. Almost $1 billion fixing crap. Which, again, it's not good for sales and your reputation when you keep getting these bad recalls. Especially when, this is a recall that actually affects the user. They can't use their vehicle arguably safely, and you still have a fix for it. You get a fix, hopefully it'll be soon. You got to go to dealership. Based on reading this article, this isn't going to be a quick 5-minute swap out. It's going to take some real man hours. So it means you're going to be either without a vehicle, maybe you're lucky and the local dealership will give you a loaner, or maybe you have to use one of the Lyfts or the Uber apps, which I would argue for safety is not a great idea in and of itself. But yeah, it just continues to chisel away at the brand reputation of Ford. And yeah, I don't know who's in charge of the quality assurance these days, but not realizing this might rust, that's got to be, I mean, that has to be perhaps the business blunder of the year. It's got to be. But I mean, maybe we'll do like a little fun vote on that, like the biggest business blunder of the month. Let me know if you think it'd be a good idea. But right now, Ford having yet their 8th recall for the Ford Bronco, I gotta say that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.